We'd like to thank Divergent Academy for providing IT training and offering a fresh pipeline of talent for free. It's a great resource if you're looking for freshers. Besides jobs for their sourcing technology, they blend 4,000 sourcers and AI to find talent quickly. And I know as a recruiter, we all need that kind of help. So they're a great resource to help you in sourcing. Skill Survey, the #1 automated reference checking software used by employers. And Labor IQ by ThinkWise. They leverage trillions of data points to bring salary and market intelligence for strategic recruiting. They've got a lot of good information. If you've had a chance to take a look at some of their presentations that they have. I also want to let you guys know that the Dallas HR Stars Gala is coming up February 19th at the Westin Galleria, and registration is open at dallashr.org. We're going to be hosting the RTOY Awards, the Recruiting Team of the Year Awards, and giving that out, as well as Dallas HR, I think, has 9 additional awards that they'll be giving out at the event. It's a really great time. It's black tie, nice social to mingle. We might be mingling with masks, but it's a great social to mingle and have a few drinks and dress up and have some fun. We want to thank our speakers today, Brett Feig and Greg Hawks, and I'll probably mess that up again, Brett, apologize.
Got it right, perfect.
These two individuals, they blur the line between recruitment and coding, very smart individuals. In this Scrapedelphia session, they're going to discuss programmable search engines, web scraping tools and techniques, and how to automate to save time. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Greg and Brett, and go ahead and take over. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here today.
Sure. And thank you guys for having us. We're really excited. Before we begin, just want to get a sense from the audience out there in the chat, if you guys could put in if you have experience or no experience with web scraping, just to get a sense of the relative sort of level of exposure in the audience right now. We got a no experience. We got none, none, none. Awesome. This is great. Okay, great. About in web scraping and really ways to dip your toes into the pool, so to speak. Because when I got started in this, there was not many people that were doing it or putting out material on it, and it just became a bit of a game to see what was possible. So we're gonna start a little bit on more of the entry level side. So hopefully we'll fill in some gaps for you guys, and we're gonna go over some simple tools. Greg's going to show you some really cool stuff, and then we're going to spend towards the end a bit of time, and we want to encourage you guys to ask questions. You could turn on your mic as long as that doesn't turn into an absolute dumpster fire, but certainly put it into the chat. if you have any questions, you want us to explain something more, there's a situation that is really important to you, and we'll go off script in a second, and we'll customize what we're doing so that it resonates a little bit better on sort of a day-to-day basis. So whether it's finding and being able to pull candidates from places that candidates go outside LinkedIn or on LinkedIn, right? So whether you're thinking about things like company pages, right? Oftentimes a great avenue to grab people from, or you're thinking about healthcare pages if you recruit in the healthcare space, or even conferences being great places to sort of find people, right? You see this information, you wonder, what could I do other than copy it down hand by hand? And that's kind of where web scraping takes over. However, it could be something as simple as I'm pulling a list of top 100 companies. How do I get that from this graphical interface, from this graphical web page into something structured? Because I've done presentations in the past where you go through a bunch of technical information and you get to the end and the questions are like, so where do we go to find places, or where can I even find information to scrape? So I'm going to mention this up front. I'm going to plant the seed, and you're going to see this being used as examples throughout the presentation. So really easy for those that want just a quick way to find some of these things. A quick Google search, like an entitled speaker or entitled speakers, or even a site search that's going to pull everyone that's our employees or our people. Or to make it easier, I set up a quick bit.ly where I imported, I don't know, 100 or 200 places you could go to scrape data, all the different conferences and stuff along those lines, just a big dumping ground. So as you see some of the things that we're going to go through here, and if you venture out and want to give some of them a try, or open up your horizon a bit to thinking differently about where you go to find talent, this could be a really good sort of thinking grounds for you. So that being said, let's dive into some tools and go over some general understanding of it, right? So in web scraping, there are a variety of tools and no one tool masters it all. It's a bit like having a bunch of tools in your toolbox and needing a big screwdriver and also a really tiny one for fixing your glasses. And so as you go through it, focus on the ones that are a little bit easier, the ones that are a little bit more point and click, like the examples on the screen. Instant Data Scraper we'll talk about it. It's virtually idiot proof. So is Simple Scraper. We'll mention Table to TSV and I'll send you guys a link on it. But it's a really simple bookmarklet made by Andre Bradshaw that it's in some cases almost could be a substitute for Instant Data Scraper. It's that simplistic. And things like any picker and quickly we'll mention as well. And it gets a little bit more complicated from there. You get into ones that are still very graphically driven. What does that mean? You point at a screen, you click on what you want, and it instantaneously knows and follows the steps for you, into ones that are a little bit more still visual from a screen standpoint, but a little bit more robust, like a Mozenda or ParseHub or Octoparse, and Dataminer lies somewhere in the middle. People talk about ParseHub and Mozendo more when they're scraping e-commerce sites. So if you ran an e-commerce business and regularly you needed to scrape all the other competing e-commerce businesses, that would be sort of where you would go. They have a free version, but they're much more robust than most of us in this call would probably have a use for. Unless you like to get crazy with it, then by all means, check it out. Very easy, a lot of good tutorials surrounding them. And so there, we start at the beginning, right? And for those of you that said you have none, this is where you start. You could download this today. We're going to start with these two, and we're going to talk about Instant Data Scraper because it's so simple. So scan this link on your screen right now and go to the Chrome store, unless you're on a company work machine that prohibits such Chrome extensions, and install the Instant Data Scraper. And that is the most technical thing you're ever going to have to do with this program. So very simplistically, here's a great example, right? So here's something non-recruitment related, but say you were building a Boolean string, right? You wanted to target a list of the largest companies by revenue. So simple Wikipedia search, right? And you want to take this and pull it into a spreadsheet. We could either use Table to TSV, which I'm going to later show you how to actually get it, which just puts a download button, right? So just point and click, download it. Or you could just as easily use Instant Data Scraper. And all I did is click on one button and it instantaneously just identified that there was a table here. And literally when I talk about simple, and we're going to show examples of this, there's nothing you could tell it to do. You could tell it to try another table by clicking that locate next button thing. But that's it. And what I tell people that are just starting off is start with Instant Data Scraper because it's sort of idiot proof. And even if you've done this for a while, it's always my first go-to because it's super simple and either works or it doesn't. Can I share the bit.ly in chat? Yes, I will put the bit.ly in chat. You also have this presentation afterwards.
Yeah,
so it's really simple.
I want to jump in there, Brett, because Instant Data Scraper, it is hit or miss. But like Brett said, you push one button and it automates most of it for you. So you don't have to create anything. You don't have to. You just have to push a button and then it pulls the information in. So it's actually very powerful if it does work. But in case it doesn't work, there's other options.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Greg and I both think of this as start with the stupid and the simple stuff first. And sometimes that just works. And then if that doesn't, then go to something more complicated or reevaluate your actual need to get that data to begin with. But way too many times you'll jump into something really complicated and realize, oh, I could have just highlighted the whole screen and hit Control-C and that would have done it, right? I didn't have to break out these crazy tools.
Keep it simple, Sorcerer.
Keep it simple, Sorcerer. I like it. Here's another example, and I recorded a quick video on this. So if you take a look, this is a giant directory from Bakersfield College, which I'm guessing is in California, has all their employees, has their phone number. And I'm literally just clicking one button and I'll see if I could pause it here without screwing it up completely. So all I did was click that one button, right? This instant data scraper logo here, and it pulled this up. And you could see right here, it grabbed 1,145 rows, right? So it grabbed virtually this whole thing and pulled it into a spreadsheet format. And then I could then export it if I want, right? So super simple. I don't recruit in the space, but if you do, I imagine having an entire college's directory in a way, in a spreadsheet, you have all their email addresses and phone numbers. It's probably going to be something that could be useful to you.
And the other thing is, I mean, you pulled all this information. It's a large document, right? But once it's into spreadsheet form, you can sort it, you can shortlist, you can go after a target audience. You don't have to reach out to everybody. Okay. In fact, I would recommend not reaching out to everybody, but I do that all the time. That's one of the reasons why scraping is such an advantage, because you can go out and find a large population, tailor the audience, target the audience that you're looking for, and reach out to those folks and do more research on those. So that's where that comes into play. Oh, and thanks for changing the slide. Are you done with your thoughts, Brett?
That must have automatically changed due to the animation, but yeah.
You can go back if you need to, but
I'll go back real quick. No, I'm joking. So for just to close that out, if you've never done it, I'll put the link in the chat in 2 seconds. But you could just go to the Chrome store and just write instant data scraper and download it right there and give it a try. As you go through your day-to-day, as you find a bit of information that you're looking for, this will work on all sites besides LinkedIn. There used to be a hack that would bring it back for LinkedIn. I don't know if it still works, but later on, as we start breaking into more free-form demonstrations, we'll show a couple things that do work for LinkedIn and you can use for that platform.
Yeah, and so the other thing is people forget to use copy and paste. But sometimes just like literally highlighting, copying the text and pasting it into an Excel spreadsheet works too. So I would start with, I mean, you've got 3 things you can try, but sometimes that works too. So, but custom search engines. So back a couple years ago, I was super into looking for profile sites, and with a lot of different forums like Reddit and Quora and especially publication sites. There wasn't really a good way to tailor down and search specifically for users. So I started using what's called programmable search engines or custom search engines, and basically program filters through these profile sites so I can search them faster, just specifically for profiles. So basically, if you know what a site search is or an X-ray is, it's building this into a search engine. So there's some advantages and disadvantages of search engines. For one thing, you can only pull around 100 results. We might try a couple things later and see if they've opened that up again, but it's limited to 100 results. The cool thing is you can search multiple sites at once. So most people will search one site at a time. And I've built these things to search multiple sites actually. So, and the whole reason I did it is to see if it worked. So basically you can build kind of like an aggregator, and it's also something that you can scrape using some of the tools that Brett just mentioned, or building out custom scrapers like we've done in the past. So if you want to, let me actually pull up a couple of mine, because I want to show you the inside of, some of the custom search engines that I have.
Let me know if you could share your screen, or you need me to release it for you to.
I cannot share my screen. You have to stop sharing.
There you go.
Stop sharing so much, Brett. Okay, let me see if I can do it now. I want to share my screen too. And hopefully, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay. So as you can see, I've built a lot of custom search engines. Okay. So I've got several for LinkedIn. I've got a resume finder. I've got list finders. I haven't used these in a while, just because there's other tools out there that are available. But for instance, when I was building the LinkedIn CSE, you have to code it a little bit differently. Actually, we don't even need this anymore, but it's using specific syntax. If you create your search engine, and if anybody's interested in this, let me know, because I wrote 4 articles on this thing because it can be kind of complicated. But you have to basically build this in a different way. So this is the inside of one of my custom search engines, and I actually learned this by watching a couple presentations around this. Basically, that's putting in this code. This is the part of the LinkedIn URL of a profile, and you can search. Let me look for a mechanical engineer, because nobody looks for mechanical engineers in these presentations.
Greg, is there a place they could go to find a bunch of custom search engines if they're not quite up to the task?
Yes, there's. I have some on Dean's SSR page. I've got several on the HR sourcing toolbox. They're not. You can't see the inside of them like this, but they're up there. Most of the ones, like the ones for Quora and Reddit and stuff like that, those are up on the HR sourcing toolbox, and I have links later on. So this is just an example. Okay, you get these profiles. This is specifically profiles for LinkedIn. Okay, you can build this for pretty much any website if you have a database. And I've actually put in filters here, so I can look for people local to Houston. I can look for national level folks. I was also looking for biotech folks. Probably won't pull. Oh, I did pull some people in biotech. And as you can see, the different keywords and things that I'm looking for are highlighted here. So you could add all kinds of different things. Okay. And you can add those search features through refinements. So basically, I'm extending my initial search through adding different types of keywords and things like that. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail because we're limited time, but I want you to see, because this is how I would look for emails through LinkedIn. This is literally something that I learned at a conference, and I combined it and put it together. So whenever you think, well, how do you find contact information? Well, people with contact information on LinkedIn say email me at Gmail, at Hotmail, at I don't know why Ymail's in there, or mail to. Those are all indicators of an email in somebody's resume or profile. So I wanted to show this because it's combining these different searches into one engine, so you can just search them all by just clicking a tab. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you, and this is where it gets kind of complex, is let me go back to my page, is that the way to put in multiple websites. This is the CSE that I combine multiple websites at once. I don't think this one's active anymore, but I was looking for publication sites, ResearchGate, Google Scholar, NCBI. I was looking specifically for scientists. That way I can search all these websites for specific type of experience, like mass spec. Let me just do mass spec real quick. And it will search multiple websites. Okay. It looks for contact information. And I have several variations because each site is different as far as pulling an email. Look, there's an email right there, direct email. That's a publication, right? There's a direct email. There's a direct email. And the other thing is this is free. Okay. So again, it's combining these kind of concepts. When you get into the refinements and stuff like that, that's where it gets really complicated. If you have a website that you'd want to build something like this, a lot of times I like doing this type of stuff. So you can send it to me and I can give it a stab and we can replicate it. But just there's a lot of potential here. A lot of people don't realize how powerful these things can be. So, and the thing with custom search engines, let me go back to a general one real quick, is that let me go to Reddit. Let me just try Reddit. I need to pop this out though. I need to pop this out. Hold on. And which one did I go to? Let me just try mass spec again. Okay. So this is the outside, this is the external view. Okay. The cool thing about CSEs is that you can scrape these too. and we're going to talk about Dataminer in a minute, but there are some nerds out there that have already built recipes for this, have already built scrapers for this. And I built this a couple of years ago, but oh yeah, it does work. It does work. It looks like I might need to adjust it. But these are scrapable. No, that actually works because that's what's in the header here. So typically with a site search or a LinkedIn poll, you would have the name here. But since there's not a name, and this is searching more by topic, you get the usernames. So that's right. So again, you've got a possible username on Reddit, you've got a link, you've got a couple links here. And if I was using a different profile site, and I've got some information here, if I was using a different profile site, I'd probably get more information. But I was just using this as a random example. Okay, so enough about custom search engines. Let's go on to the next slide. Okay.
Yeah, let's share the next slide here. U.com, just to give you the setup here.
Or do you want to talk about U.com?
You go for
I've just dabbled in a little bit.
You talk about, you have more experience.
Okay.
Let me get it back up on the screen here.
So how many folks have heard of U.com? This was actually something that Ronnie Bratcher had talked about in one of the recent presentations. I don't remember which one it was, but I got wind of this from him, and it's pretty cool if you're looking for a specific person or if you're looking for something like that. I'm still working on it as far as utilizing this for profiles, but I'll give you a couple of examples of why I think this is a valuable tool. Okay, so if you can, let me share my screen again. Let me kick you off, Brett.
Go share.
Kick you off. I'm going to kick you off. I hope you don't mind.
No.
So U.com is basically, it's kind of an aggregator, and it's in beta. Okay, so if I was to look up, let me look up Brett. Okay, because I like stalking my friends. Hopefully I'll spell his name right. So if I look up Brett, I can see all the different works that he's done. I can see his LinkedIn profile. I can see, you know, some of the big list of people to follow, and whatever that is. You can see the web results from the search. You can see stuff that he might have done on Reddit, but that might not be him. Look at that. Who that guy? I know that guy. I know that guy. I must have mentioned him in one of my videos. And so I mean, it's pretty significant that you can look. There I am again. I'm over here. Brett, quit stalking me, dude. And there's Andre. So so it's if you're looking for, especially somebody who's got a body of work like a graphic artist or something like that, it can get the full idea of what the person does. I've also tried this with Java developers.
It's a bit like a massive custom search engine specifically for the social networks that recruiters use most often, ironically.
And it's free. And like if I was to search, I don't know if resumes would be a good example here, but let's just try it. Because like I said, I haven't really dove into this too much. I'm probably gonna have to get rid of the samples and templates and jobs. We don't want jobs because jobs come up. So it may not, I'm still working through some of this stuff, but if you look at the images, you can get different images. Here's some Instagram information. So I'm still working through some of this to make this more practical than looking up one person at a time. So if we look up image, you can just click on images and you can see all these different images. Let me look up, I mean, so it might be something better for like a very niche type of role. Let me look at Hogan mainframe. Let me do that, see what happens, because we're looking for somebody with Hogan mainframe, and the technology is ancient. So now this is something that might be useful because you've got several different blogs. You've got something on Quora here that looks like a question, Reddit, some LinkedIn stuff. So this is actually, look, they've got some videos here too. So this is more of this is more of what I use if I had something very niche like a Hogan developer. So this is definitely something that's kind of raised my eyebrow a little bit, because you've got all these different filters that you can look, and it does just kind of a pocket search to aggregate information. So if you're looking for a specific person, it can get you their whole body of work, like a scientist. Let me just put in Fauci. I just want to look at Fauci and see what happens when we put in Fauci.
And another thing is, based off this keyword, the first couple of things that come up are other companies that are hiring for similar jobs.
Yeah. So if we look up Fauci, you can see he has a very big social profile. So, and I don't know if there's something on Google Scholar. No, there's not anything on Google Scholar or anything like that. But it's all news websites right now, because he's in the news, right? So again, another way to find somebody's social footprint. Okay.
Yeah, and if you're trying to recruit someone or certain types of people, it could be a great place to go to get a little bit of business intel. Have they been in the news? Have they created anything recently? These are all really good data points that could actually help you to differentiate your messaging to them.
Absolutely. So let me just look for a group like us. Yeah, again, if you're looking for more research, this is also helpful for blogs and vlogs if you're trying to look for that, or conferences, right? Yeah, so for recruitment conferences, you can't afford to miss this fall, blah, 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 right? So play with it. It's free. It's in beta right now. Okay, I shall stop sharing my screen now.
And perfect. I will take over for a little bit of an instant data scraper demonstration. So let's transfer this over. Share screen, and let's screen do I want to share? Let's do screen 3. And I'm just gonna go off script for a bit of a second. So you saw me mention it in brief, and hopefully you've had a chance to load it onto your computer. So let's talk about what Instant Data Scraper can do or can't do, right? So here's how many out there recruit in tech? I'm sure a couple of people. And how important is diversity and stuff along those lines, especially when it comes to women in technology. So here's a really simple search, right? Quick search for star, so in replace of a word, who, either tech or code, and then in URL speakers, right? Which pulls up a lot of decent sites that are going to find people who are identifying by a certain group and who also tech. So here's a Women's in Technology online festival. Here's a 2021 speakers for Harvard WeCode. So let's do a little bit of an example. So you see a page like this, and this is one of those sort of questionable pages because there isn't a definitive sort of structure into this. So we would try Instant Data Scraper first and then see what comes up. So I just click the button and let me show you what happens. We get this muckety muck, right? Puts everything in one cell. This is irrelevant. This looks like a link of some sort. So it's not going to work. And I might try locate another table to see what happens. Now it grabs this whole thing. Again, not really structured. It sort of put everything into a row and not a column. So we can't use that. Try it again. So again, it just doesn't work. So this would be a great example of something that we couldn't use Instant Data Scraper for, but we can use some other programs, and we'll get into that too. Let's take a look at Agile USA, Speakers 2022. So this has a bit of a structure, right? Everything is neatly in a box. So there's a good chance that we might have success with Instant Data Scraper. Let's give it a try. Again, I just clicked the button. That's all I did. You guys have seen this in real time. Let me see if I could show this on my screen. And it neatly grabbed this whole box. Let's see if it grabbed it in sort of the right way. First two columns, I don't need them, so let's get rid of them. And here we have all the names. Here we have, looks like all the titles. So it doesn't look like we got companies in there. Then we have their hyperlinks. So we have all their Twitters. So we could do some fun things with that as well. And here we have their LinkedIn. which is great. We could take that and maybe upload it into LinkedIn, throw it into a project. I'll show that a little bit later on.
Or you could put it into another tool, and because a lot of these tools like HireTool and Seekout, they are based on LinkedIn information. So you can literally pull that in and kind of pseudo enrich the data, kind of like we used to do with Zap Info.
Yeah, topical. Since I'm wearing the Zap, I'm wearing the old school Zap shirt. Yeah, so here it worked fairly well. It took 2 seconds and it was able to grab everything on the screen, right? All 63 rows, and we could do a lot with it.
It's got home, personal email, it's got personal website, it's got Twitter, it's got LinkedIn. So lots of ways to cross-reference the information. And it took, what, a couple seconds?
Yeah. Now the first step is getting it. The next step is trying to do something sort of actionable with it. Here is simple since we have their link. So as Greg mentioned, you could do a ton with it. Upload into a different program you have, maybe start to enrich it. There are programs you could put in everyone's Twitter email address and it'll auto follow them on LinkedIn, right? So you auto follow all of them. That could be a great way to sort of warm them up so that when you do reach out to them, they have some sort of name recognition. Like, oh, this name sounds familiar. This person followed me on Twitter. And this could also be good in a bulk situation. Let's say, you're recruiting within this demographic, right? For agile software engineers and QAs and DevOps. And this is a conference that has a lot of the top people in the industry. Instantly following, 63 people at once is going to really, it's going to set your Twitter feed to start sending you notifications on the topics that they're chatting about, the groups that they're interacting with. So really great for sort of setting that up from the ground up. And here I don't have to do anything more. So super simple. Again, I could download it CSV or this, or copy it all and paste it somewhere else. That's it.
And I mean, it could be as simple as just looking them up on LinkedIn and send them a message, or go into their personal website and finding their email, send them an email or give them a call or something like that. So it doesn't have to be super complicated. You don't have to use a lot of fancy programs to contact these folks, but just whatever your workflow is.
Did I set that up? Yeah. So there's a bunch of different things you could do with it. And once you have this in that Excel format, and I'll give you an example of one of the things. So I could take a list of all the LinkedIn's now that all the Twitters now that I have it, and you could use for free. This will cost you nothing. A program called Phantom Buster, and they have a Twitter autofollower. So I can literally set this up and put all of the people that I need to into a spreadsheet. In this case, I put them into a Google form and linked it to it. It has my cookie, so it could log in as me, and I could literally just set it to launch. And in the course of set it and forget it, in the course of 5 minutes, it's going to auto follow these people. I don't remember the last time I ran this, so it's probably now going to auto follow people I already auto followed, but we'll just let it run just for the heck of it and kind of see what happens. So
I think I
really
did something similar to that with Zapier too. So.
Yeah, Zapier, you could do it. It's a little bit more complicated. Phantom Buster was like a 3-click setup. It was like put in your cookie, you'll find your cookie, and then show us the Google sheet you want to use, and then we assume everything in the first column is their Twitter feeds. So that's one thing you could do with it, right? The other thing is you could maybe import it into LinkedIn. Let's just say what we're at for a second. We were at we already spinned off of it. We'll show the LinkedIn when we talk a little bit about quickly a little bit later on. I think that's a very cool thing you could do is upload a bunch of LinkedIn URLs into an actual project for later sourcing. So that is Instant Data Scraper. Use it, try it out. It was the first thing I tried, quite frankly. It's been around for forever. Most people that have tried scraping know about it, but hopefully this reminds you that it should be your go-to. It sits on my toolbar at all times.
I think you actually told me about it back in the day when it first came out. So
I mean, I guess
I give you credit for it.
I don't presume I was the first person to find out.
I think you made a video on
it. I did make a video on it. A very, very short video.
It's still a video that I watched. So it still works.
let's step it up a notch. So those that are like, all right, we get it, instant data scraper, we heard about it, we use it, it's point and click, it's idiot proof. Let's talk a little bit about the next step up in this, and that would be Dataminer. So over to Greg in the Dataminer shop.
Okay, you gotta, okay,
I know, we got this down.
yeah.
Well, the machine, sharing screens back and forth, no problem.
Yeah, and so like I said, I wrote 4 articles about custom search engines, so that's the first one. So you can find that on SourceCon. And 4 other ones. So for Dataminer, I use Dataminer on a pretty regular basis. Let me see if I've got an example that I can use it with. I want to see if I've got a conference or something. Oh yeah, that's it. That's right. Sketch is always a good one to show people. Let me find. Okay, this looks like a good one. Okay, so Sketch is a conference site, and it is still used today, not as much as it used to. Looks like a Red Hat conference, and as you can see, there's attendees here and there's speakers here. Okay, the thing with speakers is that they typically are easier to find. I mean, if I click onto this profile here, I mean, he's got on Twitter, he's on LinkedIn, right? Okay, so this would be an example of something you can use with Instant Data Scraper, but you can also, if you don't have access, like I don't have access to Instant Data Scraper on my work computer because of I work for a bank and we're under a firewall, but we do have access to Dataminer, okay? And the thing with Dataminer is that nerds like me will build recipes all the time for whatever website you might be on, okay? So if you go into the public recipes, you can see I've got some Sketch-based scrapers already built. You can build your own. It can be a little bit more complex there. I'm not going to go through how to do that because I've done several videos on sourcing in real life on that, but I want to show you what the end result is. Let me see if this is the right one. So yeah, again, it's a simple click because I've already programmed this. I can show you the inside of one just so you can kind of see. And I've got their name, I've got their URL, I've got their company, I've got their title, right? That's really all I need to do some sort of research, shortlist them and look them up in addition. If I wanted to take it a step further, you can program this to do a crawling feature, but that's where it gets very, very configuration based and very gimmicky. And I've done a couple of these. I think I did a video specifically around this sort of thing, but that's where it's really complex, and you have to do a lot of trial and error to get to that phase. So again, like Instant Data Scraper, you can pull it into a spreadsheet. You have several different options here. Yeah, sure, I'll save it there. And I mean, I pulled 144 rows in a couple seconds, okay? And if I was looking for Red Hat, these are the people that I would go after. The Dataminer recipes, if you're in Dataminer and you're on the website, if you go to the public section right here, you'll be able to see whatever recipes are created. And sometimes they have to be remapped. So they may or may not work. Where did my spreadsheet go? Where did my spreadsheet go? Did I lose it? Oh no, it's over here. No, that's not it. That's something else. There it is. Hold on, I was using Dataminer earlier.
So while he's finding the spreadsheet, I would recommend Dataminer to be used when Instant Data Scraper doesn't work, and when you want to have a little bit more control over the information that you're getting. So it may be like a level 2 sort of program. Yeah,
it's more complex because you have to build these recipes a lot of times. There's sometimes people have built them already, but and you know it gets me the information I need. Okay, it gets me a URL, it gets me their full name, it gets me their company, and it gets me their title. So I can shortlist this and go after the people I want. And again, you can use this URL to plug into this deeper and create a crawler in a sense. And I did show a more laborsome video to where I went in and did this and figured this out. I think it's the Dataminer Pro one. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the different steps and how I figured it out in the last 10 minutes. But it is a lot of trial and error configuration and stuff like that. And the thing with these type of tools is that they're getting better and having updates on a regular basis. So like things like Zapier, things that we've used in the past, they work a lot better than they used to. So, and if you were to set up a recipe, let me go back because I've got a lot of screens going on now. I've lost my Dataminer. Where are you? Okay, so I mean, you can go in, yeah, sure, to the recipe creator. Oh man, it's all getting that jacked up now. Because I've got, where did my recipe go? So you can go in, yeah, request permission, sure. If I can get it to come up, I may not be able to get it to come up because it's jacking up my viewpoint right now because I've got Zoom going on. I won't be able to show you the recipe creator, but I've got videos on it. But basically, you have several steps you have to take. You have to create rows. You have to create columns. And yeah, I know it's hard to follow. So both Brett and I have videos in and around this. So if you are on a website and you want to see if we have a Dataminer recipe, let me just start over.
Yeah, we could show it. If there's a specific site, we could help you.
Yeah, let me see. Let me find the specific site. There it is. So here it is. So all you got to do is you got to download Dataminer from the Chrome store. You've got to highlight something that you want to scrape. Right click, go to Dataminer, start Dataminer, open Dataminer, and then this window pops up. Okay, and to scrape that page, you want to go to page scrape, and then under public recipes, you'll have the recipes that people have created for that website. Okay, so it's kind of long-winded to get there, but if somebody's built something like I've built something for this, then you'll be able to find it that way. Okay, so I don't want to go too much into this because I think I'm losing people. So if you need help with the specific steps, reach out to Brett or I. I mean, we use this every day.
All right, so I'm gonna bring it back very simple. So if you guys thought that all of that was confusing, let's talk about two programs that are brutally simple. Both have free and paid versions of it. This one is specifically going to address LinkedIn, right? So I hope that just got everyone's attention and ears to perk up. I'm sure it likely did. This is a brand new company that was just in beta. I think they just came out of beta over Christmas. I think they sent me an email. It's called jobin.cloud. You guys could all see my screen, right?
Yeah, that's any picker though. So you want to move
sorry, we're on the wrong screen. Let's do this. How's that better?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think any picker's kind of like complicated, like
well, yeah, no, we'll talk about that one too. I could make it really simple for everyone. So this is called jobin.cloud. I think it's awesome. It does a bunch of things. I've only used it for one or two or three things, but what it is, it's almost like an ATS, they're almost trying to be like an ATS, and their whole thing is pulling people out from LinkedIn basically, and then being able to throw them into some sort of email campaign. So it's part CRM or email marketing, or it could send emails and that sort of thing. I wouldn't call it a CRM, but it's very, very cool. I've been playing around with that. As you see, I have a ton of people imported into here, but let's show an actual use case, shall we? And this is one thing that I haven't found another program that will do yet. So let's say you're on LinkedIn and you come across this post. In this case, I'll pick on Mark and his new job at Facebook. And you're like, wow, here's a post. Someone posts something that's relevant, and a lot of people have responded to it. So you make the leap of faith that, hey, the people, if I'm looking for recruiters and there's a recruiter just posted something and 116 of his closest buddies responded back to it, that might be a potential pool of candidates or pool of potential prospects that I'd want to use. So you literally click on this extension and it gives you options, right? It says press the 3-dot button on the post and then paste it here. Simple enough. Let's give that a try. Copy link to post. And let's paste it over here. And then it gives me some options. Do I want to scrape everyone who responded, just the reactions, right? Do I want to get all the thumb uppers or just the comments? Do I want to assign them to a pipeline? So just like an ATS, you could sort of have a pipeline and have tags and have some notes. In this case, I'm just going to do the first 30 so it doesn't lag my computer. And then you just click start import and it goes ahead and it will pull it into the system. So company not specified, that's fine. Here you go, 100% loading, please wait. So it's now importing those 30 people. And once it's done, it will then appear in here under contacts. And from there, you could enrich it further and actually go into some of these profiles and pull out the details. And it actually creates a pretty robust profile. Let's click on one of these for a second. Preferably one that isn't blank. That doesn't work.
So does that work? That's only on LinkedIn. They only pulls from LinkedIn.
Yeah. So for right now, as far as I've been able to see, it pulls from LinkedIn. Now you could build a search in here. Assuming you do this a bunch of 50,000 people, just like an ATS, I could build a search with tags and role title and contact and when they were updated and all these sort of things. And it gives you an option to do an X-ray search, but it's lacking the functionality to then scrape from there. It seems to be more situated around how is it going to scrape from LinkedIn Recruiter, Sales Navigator, your first connections, your group pages, event pages, and LinkedIn home pages or posts. So that seems to be the one thing it does really well right now. But it's, I think they'll give you a trial. It's also not that expensive. You could probably negotiate. I think they probably are in the beginning parts of it. I wouldn't recommend it for mass enrichment. Like if you had like 100 profiles, you want to import them in here and enrich it. It will do it, but it's very, very slow. I suspect it wants to stay under the radar, but kind of cool to pull in everyone's posts or reactions to posts and then treat them and be able to put them in projects, much like you would in an ATS or LinkedIn. And you could actually track, and these are just random people that happen to be in it, but you could actually then track any messaging you do. And it's very similar to an ATS here, right? You could enrich it further and it pulls in like almost like a little bit of a resume, right? You could rate them across a couple different things, add personal details if you want. This was actually a role I was working on back in November that I was testing it out for to see if it was cool. And it was very, very cool. Now you could also reach out in messaging and control the different types of messaging that you do. You could do it in bulk. So, you could select this one and 30 other ones and do more bulk options. And I can export it, or I guess it's under send them connection notifications, assign to jobs, send messages, and you can choose the type of message. Is it an email if you have it? Is it a LinkedIn Recruiter, an InMail, Sales Navigator, or whatever the case is? I've not tested the ability to do video and images in it. And I don't think this actually does any sort of drip feeding, but feel free to test that part out. I've not used it to that capacity. I have other tools I like. So very simple. Everyone on this call could try it today. Probably get a free trial, test it out. And I think there is a free package that allows you to have less than a certain amount of contacts in here and some filters and stuff along those lines.
Yeah, and Brett, I mean, I see Google, I see Bing. Do they also have capabilities around that, or is it mainly LinkedIn?
So it will run your search here across these platforms, like, but it doesn't pull it in from a Bing search.
Okay.
At least not yet. But it's under the premise that you build a search to search the people you already have in here, and this could potentially show you other leads that go back to LinkedIn, and then you could pull them in here, and it will run in the background, pulling in profiles, right? So here are the profiles we just pulled in from what we did. I think we pulled in 10. It got 9 of them, and you see it's actually pulling it in, and at the same time it's enriching it, right?
Yeah,
so
that's helpful. So kind of like Zap Info used to.
yeah. So it got Yeah, I got a bunch of people here.
Because
Marvin,
it makes it, because that's one of the problems with like TikTok and YouTube is it's hard to navigate because there's so many comments that there's no really rhyme, reason, shape, or form to pull that information in a legible way. So
Yeah.
like something like this on TikTok would be huge.
yeah.
Like so.
Well, it doesn't exist on TikTok yet, but it is a very, very, very new company. So I'm sure they're building out new parts of it every single day. So if you like to play with tech, you like to be a kind of an early adopter advantage sort of thing, I like it. I like it for what it is, not for everything it offers, but it does help to kind of take those people on LinkedIn, and you don't have to know how to scrape to pull them into a platform that allows action, right? To action it. And you can also export it. I think I don't think I could export all like 100,000 people I have in here, but I think you could do up to a certain amount. So that's kind of cool. And whether you want to use it as an ATS or not, if you already have one, I would say no. If your ATS is a bunch of Google Sheets, yeah, you might want to look into it. This could be a interesting thing to play around with. Next, and this is going to land somewhere between Instant Data Scraper and Dataminer. So if Dataminer was if we lost you on Dataminer and we bored you on Instant Data Scraper, then pay attention to this. I think you'll kind of like it. So this is called AnyPicker. Here's an example, QCon, right? And the problem this overcomes is that right now, all the scrapers we've showed you, it grabs the superficial information, right? What's available on the screen, right? Will Instant Data Scraper get it? Yeah, it will. That's perfect. It got name and company and that sort of thing, right? But that's not all. I don't want that. I want what's inside, right? So I could click on this person and see, wow, there's a whole bio, a session they were in. Sometimes I'll have like, this is where their social profiles will be. Let's just quickly see if any of these have. There you go. This one has a LinkedIn and GitHub. Sorry, not LinkedIn, Twitter and GitHub. Let's see if we have anything else. This one has Twitter, LinkedIn. So that's the information I'm after, right? Their social profile will help me link data together and action it elsewhere. So let's show you how this works. Really simple. If it would actually load up on the right screen. Let's see if I can migrate this back to the right screen. So I've just clicked the button. That's all I've done. And this is unique in that it loaded it in a sidebar, like a mini version of the browser, right? And it's identified, already knows it's on the right page. And it's saying, do I want to start a new recipe? Do I want to import a recipe? Do I want to choose a saved one? Now, I do not have a paid account, so I'm limited. I can't do those two things, but I could do new recipe. And it's simply going to say, tell us what you want to scrape. And it's visual, right? So I want to scrape his name. It loads the name right there. It's got that right. I want the company. It's got that. I want the picture, which is a paid version, but we'll do it anyway. I want this bio, so I'm going to click on that. I want his LinkedIn, so I'm going to click on that. And let's see, it got his LinkedIn, got some extra stuff, and I'll show you that too. It got LinkedIn, and this looks like a personal web address. I want that. Let's stop there. And it's showing me the fields it's getting, and it'll even show me what it looks like in a spreadsheet down here. And I could download just that line if I wanted to, which I don't. But I want to say, you know what? I want his name. I want that. I don't know what this is. I don't want it. Let's get rid of it. This is his bio. I absolutely want that. It picked up this level up. It must be a hyperlink. I don't know what that is. I don't want it. I also don't want this. But I do want his Twitter. Do I want both these things? Sure, let's get it. I don't need two of them. I don't need this, but I do want his LinkedIn. And I don't need this. And I don't know what this other garbage is. So let's get rid of it. And that's it. If I want to name these fields, even better. I just click on it, highlight it, and name it. Not that, and just retype it, name. However, I don't care because I can do that on a spreadsheet. Now I've got in one of those, so I'm done with step 2. Step 3, let's click on that. It says define source list. Okay. I don't have a file to upload. So I guess I want to select the links from a web page. And it's asking me, where do you want to select it from? It even gives me a hint. Maybe it's the last page you visited. How right it is. It is the last page. Let's go back to that last page. And here, I'm going to ask it to give me a suggestion on what it thinks I want. And immediately, it grabs 126 links. And those all correspond, as you could see, Matt Butcher, second one. Tammy, first one. So it intuitively, without needing any sort of coding, picked up on all of that. And that's it. I'm not doing any navigation because there's no click more links. So I'm just going to say, okay, I got it. Let's run. I might say I only want it to open 5 at one time and wait 2 seconds, but I'm going to build the task. And of course, it opens up on a new screen. So let's drag that up there. So now what it's doing, it's literally clicking through each one of those individual pages and scraping them. You'll see this is kind of cycling through, and here's all the information.
And you can do things like this with Dataminer and Web Scraper, which is another tool that we use, but it gets more complicated. Any picker kind of automates some of this for you.
Yeah. Does it work every time? No, because there isn't a lot of manual things you could put in, but it's got in everything that we wanted for. Actually, looks like it screwed up on the social media. Oh, no, sorry, I was wrong.
No, they may not have the social media.
Yeah,
Folks don't have social media.
They got it down here, right?
Yeah.
So those profiles didn't have it, but it clearly got it here. And it's gonna do, I don't have to do anything. I could go grab a cup of coffee, go walk my dog, say hello to my children upstairs, the joys of working remote. And that's it. And when this is done, I just click download and I got my CSV. Now in the paid version, you could have it automatically download images. Why you'd want that? I have no idea, but it's really cool just to have all their LinkedIn photos in like individual files. I really can't think of a use case other than you're trying to build something visual with employees, but it does it. So it's worth highlighting. And that's it. If it doesn't work, you enable this fuzzy search results and then it works. Don't know what it does. Just know that's fixed at any time it hasn't worked. So that's super simple. And it will work on any page that is structured like that, especially does well on conference speakers and those pages that are almost like profiles. And just for the proof in concept here, what was that? 5 clicks, 6 clicks? Here's everything that it's given us, including the source link if we wanted it, which I don't, so we get rid of it. But here's the name, here's the title and company. Here is, it looks like their bio. And, if I wanted to separate it, and get that out there, you could easily do that on Google Sheets using the split function, or
you can do text to columns on Excel. I mean, there's ways to do
text to
that.
column. There's 1,000 different ways to split that out, or Cool Tools could do it really well too as a great extension for Excel. But we're not here to nerd out on Excel, are we? So
I can.
I know.
I've been doing it lately. But I mean, I think we're at time, aren't we?
Do we have time? Are we running out? I didn't see a red light.
I think
we've got
over
about
an hour.
Yeah, we got about 20 more minutes.
All right. So we have more content to go over, but I'd like to spend some time and see if we can take some questions. If people have examples of a site they're trying to search or anything along those lines, see if we can't tailor it a little bit. Where's quickly? Run out of time, Glenn.
Yeah, why don't you show quickly? Because I still need to get access to it. I keep forgetting how to do that. I don't know if you need to unpack it or whatnot. If it's something like that, maybe not.
Their email and contact. Sorry, so Jim, no. So Jobin.cloud isn't enriching it with information that doesn't exist in LinkedIn. It's just pulling in what exists within LinkedIn. It doesn't have an enrichment function. So if they have their email address on their page, it will grab it. If they don't, it's not going to enrich it. Quickly is on the fringes at the moment. I mean, I could show a little bit of it, but it's
not live.
They're changing things on LinkedIn. But let's show a cool example anyway. So in this last example, we're just going to delete this out. We got a bunch of people's LinkedIn that had it in their profile. So what if we wanted to take these LinkedIn and we wanted to throw it into an actual LinkedIn project? So just to sort it out a little bit, let's filter it and just pull the ones that it pulled out was correctly. Get rid of the blank ones. Yes, that's fine. It seems like they're fine from this row down. So let's just grab those and we're going to copy these for a second. And let's get rid of this and let's go into LinkedIn Recruiter. I'm just going to create a project here. You know what? I'm going to use the demo project because I was sort of using that when I was trying some things out. So just for it, we have 72 people in it. Just for, don't worry about the people that are just irrelevant. I don't want to create a new one. So quickly is a Chrome extension but you have to side load it, which means you have to kind of download it and backload it the way a developer might. We're not going to get into that, but I want to show you some of the functionality because I think it's very worthwhile. One of the cool things and the uses I get out of it, more than just extracting data, is this thing called Add LinkedIn Public Profiles to Recruiter Projects. Very, very handy way to link some of this data scraping to an actual project on LinkedIn. Then you could action them, you could send messages, you keep track of it, you could update it if the information is a little bit out of date. And it's super simple. It's just literally clicking on a box and another box pops up and popping the links here and telling it, you know, you want to put it into this demo project I created. And that's it. And it literally goes into the background and just starts going to each profile, and it will add them systematically into this project. And you could let this run. LinkedIn will tell you you could only have 1,000 people into a project. You know, I have projects that have, you know, tens of thousands of people that you're able to put into it.
So basically, this is enriching the data from various websites.
Yeah, so yes, this is importing a LinkedIn profiles into LinkedIn Recruiter, right? So in the last example, we scraped, right? We scraped this one, and we pulled out from here their
The
LinkedIn
profile.
profiles.
Yep.
And now we're going to take those LinkedIn profiles and we're just going to import them into this project so that we have them in one place. Then we know we fill in all the other details, send messages, or whatever the case is. Now, it can do some other really cool things. It's kind of on the fritz from downloading recruiter projects, but it would allow you to download mass amounts of information on LinkedIn. I don't show this a lot in groups only because it is homegrown. It's made by a local, you know, talent acquisition community expert. So it's not like a commercial software. If you want to use it, you donate to his Patreon, right? And it is on the fringe of LinkedIn jail stuff. You know, if you do enough of it, they'll catch on. It seems to be safe in what I've used it on, but it certainly is no way compliant with any sort of LinkedIn terms and conditions at all.
And you have to be careful with when you're automating and using crawlers because yeah, you can get kicked off the platform. So I would say use this in moderation.
Use it sparingly. And you'll see it's already starting to pile in some of the people that we imported in.
And this is Andre's.
Yeah, this is Andre's tool. So I'll show that just as a bit of a teaser. It's kind of cool if that's something that interests you. We'll send you a link. You could find him on YouTube or Patreon or 1,000 other sites. He's in the process of fixing a couple things up as LinkedIn's changing their backend database that they're using, or some mumbo jumbo he was telling me about. But it's in rebuild at the moment. So
that happens all the time.
Patreon for $10. Thank you, Jim. Are there any questions that you guys have? Anything that you're interested in seeing, or anything that you were kind of curious you wanted us to add some color on? Feel free to turn on your mic and speak, or if you want to put it into the chat, and then I'll call on you, whatever the case is.
Yeah, if anybody has any question or needs some free sourcing. Anybody want free sourcing?
All right, people are quiet or listening in the backgrounds.
My name is Sierra Graham, and I had a question. I'm just so curious how you come across these different resources, just getting an understanding of where your knowledge comes from and how you build this toolkit for yourself.
Yeah, so that is a really good question. And I think Greg and I could go at length. So Facebook groups, so Facebook sourcing groups, whether it's SourceCon, whether it's Sourcers Who Code, you know, there's a couple of private ones. That's a really good place where we find that conversation is really going on, meaning conversation with recruiters in the sourcing and recruiting community isn't really happening on LinkedIn, in my personal opinion. The community really exists more on Facebook, which is odd because like everyone's migrating off Facebook, you know, for other reasons and other platforms. That's really helpful. Conferences is a great way to find out, kind of keeping in touch with some of the quote unquote, the people who are posting the most, the influencers. So like Dean DaCosta has a YouTube channel where, I don't know if he's still doing it. I haven't been checking as often, but he would post 1,000 videos on just different platforms he come across. You'll usually find some good tactics there. Greg has a YouTube channel. He's always testing things out. So I tend to keep my ear to the ground. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes down to it. If there's a new platform out there, I kind of want to try it. or I want to know about it. I have like huge folders of just stuff that I've never tried, but I'm like, hey, this looks interesting. Maybe one day I'll figure out how to make a no code app and I'll put that in somewhere.
And well, you can use Bubble IS to do that. But Brett, I mean, Brett actually he taught me how to use Web Scraper through one of his videos. So I wish he would make more videos on this stuff. But he has a video page, Untitled Videos, that it's older videos, but like if you're interested in getting really nerdy with some of the web scraping, he's got a lot of good tutorials and he goes in a lot more detail than I do. So really step-by-step stuff. But I mean, it's those Facebook groups, it's finding stuff on the internet. A lot of times I'll Google something if I'm trying to figure out a conference or a resource or an association. You know, like for instance, Lynn has a question about hearing aid dispensers, hearing aid instrument specialists, and audiologists. I mean, if I was to search for something like that, the first thing I would do is Google, you know, those keywords, see if there's any conferences, see if, for instance, like licensing sites, there's probably licensing sites you can go to. And a lot of times there's verification sites as well for those licenses that you can look up people's names and job titles and specialties and things like that. So it's all about research. Research is very important, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's crowdsourcing, asking a question in and around what you're looking for, talking to a coworker, seeing what works, see what doesn't work. A lot of it's trial and error too. So I mean, yeah, I mean, like if I was looking for any type of niche role or any type of role like Lynn is, I would do some research, see where these people hang out, see what conferences they go to, if there's an association, if there's anything like that.
Yeah, start with the basics, right? So someone who's hearing impaired, you know, there are going to be groups or support groups, you know, go on and search for like hearing impaired groups or support or forums, and then branch that out. Audiologist, type in some of those words like audiology and conferences and see what the information, the process is really a process of discovery. You start in one spot and you run a couple searches and you see what sort of pings you see what sort of catches your eye, and you might go from there to understand that, hey, there's an actual organizations that people join that are specifically geared towards people that are hearing impaired that use hearing aids. Or what are the companies that produce it? Start with those company names, right? Yep. And search for the conference and those company names, meaning if there are people that work at those companies that are speaking at conferences, perhaps they're speaking at conferences that are very relative to that industry, and then who else is speaking or what other companies are speaking. So if I was working on that, that's how I would start. And I'd find that conference and I'd scrape a list of those companies and I'd see how I can, it's a bit like peeling an onion, or in some cases building an onion, depending on which way you want to think of it. But then you'll start figuring out who these groups are and who these groups that speak about it. Another thing is, think about influencers, right? If you Google top 50 or top 100 influencers that work in the medical device, you know, because that's kind of what it falls under, you're going to figure out who in the industry is actually speaking about this. You might find entire web pages dedicated to those types of influencers, right? Because nowadays, anyone with a YouTube channel is an influencer. So if you find those out, see who they're tweeting at, what tweets they're liking, or what groups they're in, and sort of build that out until you kind of gain a good sort of hunting ground and get a sense of those companies. Or I don't know, medical device companies. I bet if you put that with directories, you'll find some stuff as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of hospitals that have faculty directories, that have student directories. And in fact, I think you showed an example of that. You know, by using some fancy URL sourcing, Brett and I were able to basically pull an entire sitemap for a hospital with nurses, with doctors, with all their information. That was a couple of years ago with that robot tech stuff, but that's an example. I mean, it's out there. There was an unconventional means of finding it, but by nerding out a little bit.
Let's use this as an actual example, because I think this could be pretty.
I don't know if it still works, but I think it's Kittering Sloan.
Oh yeah, well, I'm just saying, and there's 1,000 different ways to do this. My way isn't the best way, it's just one of the ways, right? So let's just start and peel the onion. Let's start with medical device conference, or that bar character above your / is just an or. for those who don't know, speaker. And then let's see where that goes. Okay, well, here's an ad for Scope Summit, Advanced Medical Device Trials. I tend to like to avoid the ads. I don't know why. I just feel like that content is going to be surfaced because they're paying for it. So here's 11th, 10th Medical Device Conference. There you go. MedTech Conference. And I'm literally just going to open them up as I go along. I'm not even going to look at them. I just want to get a bunch of them up there. Medical Device Conference, American Metal Device Summit. So, here we go. And here's 10 different places. Now, I don't know if they're any good, but I'm going to save it. I might even use, and here's another tool. If you guys don't have this, one tab, go to the Chrome store, get one tab immediately. If this is how your Chrome looks and you have 1,000 tabs open at once and you think you're going to lose it, you just click this and it literally consolidates them all onto one page, and you could save it and lock it or even share it with someone. Here you go. I could share it as a web page. Here you go. Scan this and you'll have all these links on your page if you care, or run the search yourself. My point being is that I'm going to start there, and let's take a look at some of these. So we have 10th Medical Device Conference. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. So here we go. Here's a list of speakers.
Boom. Right?
Who do you think I am? I want all of them. So here we have LinkedIn's. These all have LinkedIn's. And let's see if there are any companies. Institute for, no, that doesn't seem relevant. Vascular Sciences, Liquid Smarts. So obviously we're very broad and you're very hyper specific, but we're going to follow this process. And I might write down all these company names. I might even use Instant Data Scraper just to see if it will grab the company names.
And
try another
you might
table.
want to pull in audiology in the back of that. Put in audiology and some of those keywords that she was using. You got it up.
So yeah, so there's different ways to sort of come about this, but you see sort of the premise is sort of start in one place, research, and then start building out from it, and figure that if there's someone that's going to go at one conference, maybe it's relatable to another one, right?
So do you have that original string? I think they're asking for the original string that you
Oh, the original string. It was yeah. All right. Let me type it out right now. Super simple, in quotes, medical device. Why? Because I don't want medical or device. I don't want like medical conference, device conference. And then I literally use conference or speaker.
And then put in audiology.
You can easily do conference. It's the same thing, guys. The bar is or. So I could do or speaker. And what other words might come up? Keynote, right? So keynote could be
or
one of them.
Attendees. Try attendees too. Put in
attendees, or keynotes, or get that right? 2 T's. Okay, oh, that's right. And I could limit this by geographical area.
So there's, we're literally telling Google what we're looking for.
Right.
Right.
Or medical device conference speakers, or I could do medical device, and I could do, remember from that beginning slide where I did in title, speaker. I think it'll actually stem to speakers, I think. So let's just try speaker.
When he's using in title, he's basically saying the speaker appears in the title of the heading.
In the title.
Areas that are in a specific specialty, like biotech. These are all great places to go. Like this is a resume workshop. Do you think people that are going to a resume workshop are going to be looking for a job? Most likely, right? Well, you can just network with people, right? So, don't forget the interaction element either. You don't have to be super fancy scraper to ping somebody and say that you like their experience, right? So
that is awesome stuff, gentlemen. We really appreciate it. We will be having to come to a hard stop at this time. If you guys, are you going to be sharing this presentation?
Yeah, we'll send out the presentation. We'll send you our emails if you guys have any questions or there's any resources you want us to share. Let us know.
Would you like us to send you 180 people with questions?
That's fine.
That's absolutely fine. I have no problem.
Well, we will give you the attendees list. But yeah, if you could send a presentation over to DFWTRN, we'd appreciate it. Guys, great job. This is a lot of information we're going to have to absorb, and that presentation will help us do it. And I'm sure we're going to have some good questions for you guys. We want to thank you for your time. I also wanted to let you guys know that we have 6 winners today. We've got Brittany Moses, Hillary Rose, Barry Bowe, Lucas Benson, Sherry Carr, and Jackie Thompson. That's won a free membership with DFWTRN. And what that does, well, we're not in office, but it does have a free or discounted luncheons when we do meet in person. But for right now, what it does, it lets you log into our job board where you can actually post your jobs for free. It makes it nice if you want to get your information out in front of over 2,000 to 3,000 recruiting professionals in Dallas-Fort Worth. That's really all I've got today, guys. We really appreciate your time and thank everyone for joining us today. And we appreciate it very much to Brett and Greg. Thank you guys very much.
It was fun. Thanks for letting us talk nerd.
Hey, awesome. Thank you. Come back and do a half-day session with us. That's what we need.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We were thinking no one's ever done a straight 36 hours without stopping, eating, or sleeping. So we were going to set our sights high on this.
Maybe not that. I had to bring my daughter.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right.